All right, all day. What's up, all day fam? Thank you all so much for joining. And that game, it was good for the most part. Well, not for the most part. It was good all the way up to what? The first, all the way up to halftime. And then after that, Texans defense just took over. The Texans defense is one of the best defenses I've seen in a very, 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 very long time. I I like how freaking physical their defense is. I mean, their defense is it's the best defense in the playoffs right now. If the Texans are to lose, it's definitely not going to be because of their defense. Because it's going to be literally because of their offense. CJ Stroud, he he hasn't really had a good playoff game since. I mean, CJ Stroud, I think has hit his limit sort of right now. He's had a great he has had a great season his rookie year, but last year even against the Chargers, he didn't really play all that well. And when they lost, I forgot who they lost to, but he didn't play well his second game. And then this game against the Steelers, he was bad, very bad. And right now, I mean, the Texans has all the pieces. They have everything. They got the elite defense and historical defense, really. And they got some good offensive weapons, but CJ Stroud has been coming up short. And really, to be honest with you, if it wasn't for the Texas defense today, the Steelers would have pulled it off. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers played all that bad, but I mean, when you have a defense like the Texans, you don't have to play that bad. It's just like they're just not going to give anything up at all. They were physical. My boy Keith Bullock, USC great. He was out there making plays. Laster, he is like a dangerous corner, physical, violent corner. That whole entire defense is just violent. And it was like that last year too. They haven't missed a step this year. And they got another playoff win. And CJ Stroud is benefiting from that defense. And they might get another playoff win. They might go out. I think they're going to go out to Foxborough, and I think they're going to beat New England. I honestly do. New England has a great defense too. They have a very solid defense, but New England is not as violent as the Texans. And New England, they have a violent defense. They do. You saw how they was beating up on the Chargers, and it's going to kind of be around the same game like between New England and the Texans, how it was between the New England and the Chargers. But the difference is that I think that the Texans defense, well, not think, I know the Texans defense is way better than the Chargers for one, and the Texans are really good at not only taking the ball away but scoring. So you got to take that consideration too. I think the Texans had two defensive two defensive touchdowns, and one by my boy Bullock. He ran it back 50 yards, 50-yard interception. That was like late in the fourth quarter. This might be Aaron Rodgers' last game, and if it is, I salute you to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, when he first got into the league, he was one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. I kind of, for the past recent years, I kind of fell off on Aaron Rodgers. Kind of like wasn't really that big of a fan of him lately, but Aaron Rodgers definitely is going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, arguably the most talented quarterback of all time, arguably the best passer of all time. I still think that's Peyton Manning and then Dan Marino, but Aaron Rodgers definitely is up for that debate. But hey, man, if Aaron Rodgers does come back, which I don't think he will, but if he does, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are open to having him come back. So it'd be interesting to see between what Aaron Rodgers is going to do and what Mike Tomlin is going to do. Now that's going to be the big question mark. I think everybody knows that Aaron Rodgers is going to retire. One, because he said that before the season even started, that this might be this more than likely, not might, this more than likely is his last year. That's what he said. And I think he was asked that a couple times before, after, and he said it again. He was just like, yeah, I think this might be it. So I think the ideal obviously was that he wanted to make a run, to make a run at least deep into the playoffs. And that didn't happen. The Texans, they were too physical, too violent, too brutal. So, but with that being said, Aaron Rodgers, he didn't play bad. He played well. And then they had a drop. He had a drop by DK Metcalf. That probably could have turned into something, and stuff like that. You can't have those type of mistakes against corners such as Laster and Stingley. You just can't. And again, DK Metcalf, he didn't really show up. He had a couple good catches early on in the game, but he's just not it. DK Metcalf, I've never been a big fan of DK Metcalf. I always thought he was very overrated. And the Pittsburgh Steelers overpaid this guy for him to really not do anything all year. The media, they say, analysts, they say that DK Metcalf is really he's really a big part of that offense. I don't see it. I never really thought that he made a huge difference for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. I really don't. But I guess, I mean, according to everybody else, he does. But it's whatever. I mean, I would like to see Aaron Rodgers come back for another year or so because towards the end of this season, Aaron Rodgers started getting better. And you kind of also got to think about it too. He came off a serious injury. And so, well, no, he came off an injury 2 years ago. That wasn't last year. But still, he's gotten better, man. I mean, and he's made some really key throws. He's not as mobile as he used to be. But if Aaron Rodgers, I guess if you could put Aaron Rodgers, it will be very interesting if you pair Aaron Rodgers up with a great offensive coordinator with a really, really solid team around him. It'll be interesting to see what Aaron Rodgers can do. But, I think that's going to be too much. That's just going to be too much, asking too much. This has to be like the perfect situation for A-Rod. And I don't see how he can end up in the perfect situation in the NFL right now, especially with him being on the Steelers, so and that's not going to happen with Mike Tomlin being the head coach because Mike Tomlin isn't that type of guy to really go out and get guys on offense. Mike Tomlin mostly only cares about defense. So that more than likely will never happen in Aaron Rodgers' favor. And I think Aaron Rodgers knows that. And that's why Aaron Rodgers is pretty much going to retire and be done. So it was a great career, great run. Unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers has only had one Super Bowl win, and he's only been to one Super Bowl, just like Drew Brees. But I don't think anybody thinks Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees are the same type of quarterback. I think everybody probably thinks that Aaron Rodgers is probably a much better quarterback than Drew Brees. I think he is too. So, but Drew Brees was that guy. But Drew Brees, to my knowledge, he only been in one Super Bowl too. So, only been in one, only won one. But it's obvious that Aaron Rodgers, he's a much better quarterback than Drew Brees, though. So I didn't really predict what the Texans. I knew that. I think everybody knew the Texans was going to the Steelers. Now, like I said early in the game, the Steelers was making it interesting because the game was tied. It was close. It was looking like a fair matchup, and then just the Texans defense just took over, man. They just took over as the game went on. And the Steelers, they had chances, they had shots, and the Texans didn't bite. The Texans didn't give up. The Texans, they just kept punching them in the mouth. And the thing about it is, with this defense, the Texans can go all the way to the Super Bowl. At first, I was thinking that New England can go, but I honestly, to be honest, I really don't see New England beating the Houston Texans. I don't see Drake May really overcoming this violent defense. I really don't. And yeah, Houston is going to have to travel to Foxborough, but I don't think Houston even cares. That defense is dangerous, and Drake May is going to feel that. Drake May and those receivers is going to feel that. So that's going to be a really exciting game. That's going to be a very physical and violent game. You got two former head coaches who were two former linebackers, Mike Vrabel and DeMeco Ryans, really good in back in their day, and it's going to be exciting to watch that game, man. It really is. So I'm really looking forward to that game. I think that game might be on Saturday. I don't know, but let's see. I was supposed to have looked up the schedule of these games, of the playoff games, but I didn't. But yeah, Houston beat Steelers 30-6, and for the third straight year, Houston has opened the playoffs with a win, smothering Pittsburgh on Monday night, and they show up at defensive dominance. CJ Stroud was terrible all night. The Texans defense stepped up in a big way, holding the Steelers out of the end zone all night and putting up 2 touchdowns. Yeah, so they did put up 2 touchdowns of their own with a Sheldon Rankins scoop and score and a Kalen Bullock pick 6. The Texans are now slated to travel to New England to take on the Patriots in the divisional round. As for the Steelers, they have lost 7 straight playoff games dating back to the 2016 season and face plenty of uncertainty ahead regarding the futures of Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but I honestly think if I was the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I would have to part ways with Mike Tomlin. It's the same result every single year. And Mike Tomlin, it just doesn't seem like he really cares about getting quarterbacks. Mike Tomlin had so many chances in the draft to get Shador, and he decided not to. And he decided to stick with Aaron Rodgers. And I get it. Well, he decided, yeah, I get it. Aaron Rodgers, future Hall of Famer, and it looked like you're trying to see if maybe Aaron Rodgers can help us getting over the hump. He has experience. He won a Super Bowl. He's a Super Bowl MVP. But the fact of the matter is that when you got a young quarterback that you could have drafted and you don't get him, and Mike Tomlin always does this every single year, I just feel like Mike Tomlin has ran his course in Pittsburgh. I love Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin is a great coach. I think he's can be a future Hall of Famer. He's obviously a future Hall of Famer, but I think Mike Tomlin is one of those old school coaches who's just going to be stuck in his ways. And you see that, and nothing is going to change with Pittsburgh. It's going to be the same result every single year. And it's going to be the same reason every offseason. It's always who's going to be Pittsburgh's quarterback. And since Ben Roethlisberger left, it's always been the question who's going to be their quarterback. And Mike Tomlin just acts like he doesn't really care, and he doesn't, because he's going to just be like, we're as long as our defense is good, maybe we can get a good running game. That's all he cares about. But they don't even have really solid running game for real. And I would like to see a bit of a change in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh may not fire Mike Tomlin. They may not, but I think they should. I think they should part ways with Mike Tomlin. Like it's kind, I guess, like how Robert Kraft did with Bill Belichick. They made it seem like it was a mutual agreement for them both to walk away. But we all know what really happened in New England. Anyway, that's going to be an interesting story to look out for between Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers and what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. CJ Stroud was 21 with 32, 250 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. And I think he had like 3 fumbles. CJ Stroud was terrible. Marks, he had a really good running game tonight. They was trying to get the running game going with Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is trying to. I mean, Nick Chubb really hasn't been the same since his major injury in Cleveland. But I do like this. I like to see this 10 carries at 48 yards. Even though that it doesn't really, that's not really saying much on paper, but it's showing that they're really getting this running game together. And to be honest with you, they're going to need this running game to stay consistent and to be alive if they're going to really make a run, because I would not trust the ball in CJ Stroud's hands. I just don't think CJ Stroud is that quarterback. He really hasn't evolved since his rookie year. And so maybe CJ Stroud hit his ceiling. I don't know, but I wasn't really that big on CJ Stroud coming out of college anyway. Kirk, he had a pretty good game. 8 catches, 144 yards, 1 touchdown. Higgins, 3 catches, 39 yards. Nick Collins, 30 catches, 21 yards. Hutchinson, 2 catches, 21 yards. So, and let's see. What about the Steelers? Aaron Rodgers was 17 to 33, 146 yards. 0 touchdowns, 1 pick. He played a little better than what his stats shows. He does. If you watch the game, you'll see that Aaron Rodgers really wasn't all that bad. He really wasn't. It was more about what the Texans defense did than what Aaron Rodgers didn't do or did. Aaron Rodgers couldn't get anything going. Warren, 12 carries, 43 yards. And then DK Metcalf, this is what I'm talking about. Fully overrated running wide receiver. I mean, it still just gave him this fat contract for him to only come up with this. And he had a drop pass. So, and since that drop pass, I didn't see anything. I didn't see DK Metcalf for the rest of the game. Aaron Rodgers is that type of quarterback that if you drop balls, he will not go back to you. So that probably could have been the case. DK Metcalf was targeted 5 times. That's not a lot. So especially given the fact that the Texans the game became a blowout within like the last 5 minutes of the game. So that's probably why they. I mean, so I was about to say, especially when they was throwing the ball a lot, but they really wasn't. I mean, Aaron Rodgers had 33 attempts, but so I mean, out of 33 attempts, and for DK Metcalf, who's supposed to be your leading wide receiver, to have only 5 targets, that shows that Aaron Rodgers is just he just wasn't depending on him more, like a lot. But then to think about it, also you could think about Stingley and Laster, they locked him up. He got free a couple times, but again, just couldn't connect. Just couldn't connect. I just yeah, I don't like DK Metcalf. I'm not a fan of him really. I think he's a very highly overrated wide receiver. But Queen, he had a pretty solid game, 10 cat tackles. So yeah, I think the next. Let me see if I can find the playoff schedule because that's what I really want to talk about. Let's see. Um, it's not playoff pictures. I think. Let me see. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. Let me see if I can playoff schedule. I thought it would have been on NFL.com, but I guess not. It's annoying. Let's see. Where can I find it? Oh, okay. I'm tripping. Okay, here we go. So it is. All right. All right. Come on, man. All right, divisional playoffs. So wild card weekend is done with. So we got the divisional playoffs, January. So let me see. All right, so we got the Bills and the Broncos, 49ers and the Seahawks on Saturday. And then we got the Texans and the Patriots, the Rams and the Bears in the divisional playoffs. So I think this is going to be a very interesting game right here. The Bills and the Broncos. That's going to be very interesting. If Josh Allen can get over the Broncos, he ain't winning the next. He ain't winning the next game. He's not. Now I think if somehow the Patriots can beat the Texans, which I don't think, if the Patriots can beat the Texans and the Bills can beat the Broncos, Josh Allen will lose in the AFC Championship against the Texans. That defense is just too violent, and they're not going to give up anything. They are not going to allow Josh Allen to do what he wants to do Josh Allen things, not against the Texans defense. All the other defenses will allow it, can make mistakes. That Texas defense is generationally, historically great. Now, but that's if Josh Allen gets over the Broncos. I don't even think the Bills is going to beat the Broncos. I really don't. I mean, Josh Allen may have a good game, but I don't think the Bills are going to beat. As a matter of fact, Josh Allen may not even have a good game, and that's when the excuses are going to come into play for him. I mean, Josh Allen is really safe. It's really safe. He can go out there and play whatever, and nobody is going to really jump down his throat. Nobody. It's like the entire media is scared to criticize this guy, and that's what kind of not makes me a fan of Josh Allen. But anyway, that's another story. I think though, I still got my pick, but to be honest with you, I did originally say it was going to. Well, I did say if the Chargers can keep Justin Herbert upright, yada yada yada, that it was going to be the Chargers and the Bears. But Chargers are out. I think I want to change my pick because I just really don't think the Patriots can beat the Texans. I just really don't think that. I just think the Texans defense is just way too violent. And I think they're going to really hit Drake May in the mouth. And so the Chargers defense gave up some really big plays on Drake May, and that's why the Patriots were. That's one of the reasons why the Patriots were able to come away with a win. But the Texans defense is not going to do that. The Texans defense gives up nothing. Stevenson and I forget the other running back's name, but the running game for the Patriots is really good, but it's not going to do anything against the Texans. So I think that the Patriots is not going to be able to get a running game going. They're going to try to they're going to try to put the ball, they're going to try to put the game in, and they're going to have no other choice but put the game in Drake May's hands. And the Texans defense is not going to allow anything in the passing game. I think it will be a miracle if the Patriots beats the Texans. I really do. So yeah. So that I mean, let me see. They got a whole. They got a while till they play. Texans got a week, like a little bit over a week to prepare for this game. It's on Sunday, so it's almost a week. Yeah, so we'll see, man. I don't think New England's gonna go up away with a win. Texas will be going to the AFC Championship. I think they'll be meeting I think it'll be the Texans and the Broncos. To be honest with you, I think the Broncos are going to beat the Bills. And I'm trying not to like really root against Josh Allen. I'm trying not to be biased here. So I'm really trying to think. I'm really trying to think deeply if the Broncos can really beat the Texans. I mean, the Broncos can really beat the Bills. I think if well, you got the Bills flying all across the country, and then you got them facing. They're going. Then you got them going a mile high. That's going to be really really tough for the Bills. Now, the thing about it is what's in the Bills' favor is the Broncos' offense is trash. I don't think Bo Nix is it. But it's not like the Bills' defense is all that good. It's all that great. They're good, but they're not. It's not like they're all that great. So this is going to be a close game. It's not going to be a blowout. I mean, all of these games are going to be close. Let me see. Bills, yeah. Bills, Broncos, 49ers, Seahawks, Texans, Patriots, Rams, Bears. All four of these games are going to be just crazy great. But I'm going to go to give my predictions right now. And I'm telling you, I'm going to go ahead and go with the Broncos. I'm going to say the Bills are going to lose to the Broncos. (20-22). I'm going to say Broncos 22, Bills 20. And I believe Josh Allen's going to turn the ball over a little bit. I think the Broncos is going to force that. I do. And then we got the 49ers, Seahawks. I'm going with the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks can beat the Niners. If the Seahawks does not beat the Niners, it will be a huge disappointment for Seattle. Seattle had a great run all year. And if they cannot beat San Francisco, it's just not like they did all of that for what? I mean, and so Seattle needs to they're going to have to beat San Francisco, and it's not going to be a walk. It's not going to be easy at all. But I think Seattle better. They better come away with a win. And Sam Darnold, now I have to be a little critical of Sam Darnold. He hasn't been playing well for the past 2 months, but I think this is when he's going to arrive. I think Sam Darnold can shut down the haters, and you can depend on JSN. They can get some good play calling going, and the Seahawks can go out there and they can get a win on the 49ers. Both of these teams are rival teams. They both know each other very well. Both of them are playing really good defense right now. Seattle's defense is much better than the 49ers defense. I think that Seattle can. I'm rooting for Sam Darnold, man. I'm rooting for him. I think Seattle can come away with a win here. I'm going to say that Seattle is going to beat the 49ers. I'm going to say 20-17. to 19. I'm gonna say no, yeah. No, I'll say 21 to 20. I'm gonna say 49ers 20, Seattle 21. I think Seattle's going to win this game because of their defense. They're not going to win this game because of their offense. They're going to win this game because of the dominance of their defense. And hopefully though, they can get JSN, they can get JSN running, get him going early in the game. And so, so we can get Sam Darnold's confidence back and get Sam Darnold hot. But I think, they can get a couple plays in this downfield with JSN. They can put up 21 points. They can get the running game going. They can get ahead and they can just focus on the running game, keep the game tight, keep the game close, and they can go ahead and come away with a win. I think the 49ers are going to try to keep the game tight and close, but I think Seattle is going to make a bigger plays in this game, and that's going to help them to come away with a win. So yeah, we got the Texans and the Patriots. All right, so Texans and the Patriots. I'm going to go ahead and give this game to the Texans. I said I've been talking about that for the past 20 minutes on this video. Texans, I see the Texans beating the New England. I see them beating New England 24-12. I think the Texans, and not because I don't think the Texans offense is going to do that much, but what I do believe is that the Texans defense is what I'm saying is the Texans defense is so dominant that they're going to always be putting their offense in the best position. They're going to give them good field position, and CJ Stroud and the Texans offense can come over with get a couple of scores. CJ Stroud can probably get about a couple of touchdowns because they got better field position because of that defense. And I think the Texans is going to also force another turnover for a touchdown in this game. I think they're going to force Drake May to at least get one turnover for a touchdown. I can see the Texans defense doing that. That's what I was saying about earlier in my earlier stream, where I was talking about if I were to play for the Chargers, because what the mentality should have been on that side of the ball, on the defensive side of the ball for the Chargers, was discussion should have been happening that such as our offense is playing like trash right now. Our offense is struggling, and we have to step up even more. We're going to have to win this game 6-3. That's going to have to be the type of game. And that wasn't, and it's obvious that wasn't the mentality because they gave up 16 points. So my thing is that if you are a competitive player, that should be your mindset. If you see the opposite side of the ball struggling on your team, especially as a defensive player, you got to be like, okay, well, we got to score. If our offense can't score, we need to score. We need to at least get a couple scores. That's the mentality of the Texans. You're like, look at it. CJ Stroud was trash all night. And what the Texans did, they put up 2 defensive touchdowns. They weren't only trying to stop the Steelers from scoring. They wanted to. The defense played as if we want to score. The defense was playing like an offense out there. You got defensive ends taking the ball away, scooping the ball and running out for the touchdown. And you got the game pretty much already sealed. And you got Kalen Bullock. I don't like to call him Keith, but Kalen Bullock, he's has his nose for the red end zone. He's not trying to go down. That's a disciplined, trained team. And that's a defensive team that is like, we are not only going to be physical and hit you in the mouth. We want to score because if our offense can't get it done, we're going to get it done for them. The game ended up being a blowout, 30-6. And at 30-6, you would think that the Texans offense played well, and they were terrible. That's what the Chargers should have done, but they couldn't do it. And if they could have done that, they could have beat New England because New England only put up 16 points, but they couldn't even do that. So here's the thing, and the Texans are going to do that. This is the same team that played the Chargers, and I don't think New England's offense is going to get any better. They're not going to get any better overnight or over a week. What we saw New England against the Chargers, that's going to be the same type of offense against the Texans. But the thing about it is the Texans defense ain't gonna choke like the Chargers defense. They ain't gonna miss tackles like the Chargers defense did. They ain't gonna give up big plays like the Chargers defense did. They're not gonna miss. They're not gonna miss turnovers that could have been turnovers like the Chargers defense did, because the Chargers had a couple of times to turn the ball over and actually run in for a score, but they missed opportunities. So that's not going to happen. Not with the Texans. So I got the Texans beating the Patriots 24-12 with a defensive touchdown and their defense putting the Texans offense in better field position, and CJ Stroud, that running game they're able to get a couple of scores. So I got then the next game, Sunday Night Football. This is going to be an awesome game. Probably the game of the week, maybe. I think the game. I think like the best games between. I mean, it's hard to say which team is going to be, but which games is going to be better. All of these teams are so evenly matched almost. Aside from the Bills and the Broncos, but the 49ers, Seahawks evenly matched. Texans, Patriots pretty much evenly matched. Rams, Bears pretty much evenly matched. It's going to be fun. The Rams and the Bears are kind of pretty much almost the same team almost. But I got the Rams. I got the Bears beating the Rams. You guys already know the Bears is my Super Bowl team. So I'm never picking the Bears to lose. And because my boy Caleb Williams, you know what I'm saying? I'm not ever rooting against him. Never have and never will. But I got the Bears beating the Rams 23-6-23. I think the Bears, yeah. So I think the Bears can beat the Rams. The Rams is going to get their loss against Chicago. And Chicago is going to host the Seahawks in the NFC Championship. It's gonna be two USC greats facing off against each other in the NFC Championship, and it's gonna be dope. I don't know when the last time a USC quarterback has went to the Super Bowl. Maybe it was Carson Palmer, but yeah, no, I don't think Carson Palmer never went to the Super Bowl. I'm tripping. I'm thinking about Kurt Warner, but yeah, I don't think a USC quarterback has ever been to the Super Bowl. Let me see that. I'm gonna look that up. Has a USC quarterback ever been to a Super Bowl? Let's see. Let's see here. No. So no, I said USC. No. Oh no, I know I put it wrong. USC, not U. Let me see. So no USC quarterback has ever played in the Super Bowl. So Caleb Williams can be the first. Caleb Williams or Sam Darnold, because I'm predicting both of those. I'm predicting the Seahawks to beat the 49ers and the Bears to beat the Rams. The Bears and the Seahawks meeting in the NFC Championship. Two USC greats facing off against each other in the NFC. And I got the Texans beating the Patriots and the Broncos beating the Bills. So, and I think the Texans can beat the Broncos, and that's going to be a really great defensive battle. I got the Texans beating the Broncos, and it's going to be the Texans and the Bears in the Super Bowl. That's going to be a fun Super Bowl, boy. You got the Bears elite offense against the Texans elite defense. That's going to be great to see. That's going to be a chess match right there between Ben Johnson and the defensive coordinator of the Texans and DeMeco Ryans. That's going to be a great Super Bowl right there. I can see it right now, Bears and Texans. That's going to be great to watch. And I'm going to see two of my USC great out there with Kalen Bullock and Caleb Williams out there, going against each other. But then I got the Bears. They coming away with a win. So not only will Caleb Williams make an historic, history will be made if Caleb Williams can pull this off. But not only would will he make that history, but he will also, Caleb Williams will be the first USC quarterback to ever reach the Super Bowl, and let alone win one. So that's going to be great to see. I'm predicting it all right now. Y'all say this clip, y'all watch this, y'all look at this video. I think it can be done. I've been saying this since the beginning of this year, and And so, I mean, I've been saying since Caleb Williams was drafted, he's gonna get some rings, and this is it. And then it's gonna be discussions must be had. Is Caleb Williams a top 5 quarterback? Yes, he is. Is he the best quarterback in the league? Might as well be. Might as well be. You know, I've been saying that Justin Herbert has been, but if we're talking about collectively, not just talent, everything, what you do in the playoffs, how you play, the situation in the regular season, going to the Super Bowl, winning a Super Bowl, all that stuff together, you can't say Justin Herbert's the best. If you're just talking about talent and skill set and technique, and yeah, of course, quarterback, just yeah. But I'm talking about everything as a whole. After Caleb Williams win the Super Bowl, then that's to be had. That conversation is going to be had that Caleb Williams is the best quarterback in the league, and it's going to be like that for a long time because Ben Johnson ain't going nowhere. Ben Johnson is a very young coach. Caleb Williams is a very young player. The Bears are going to be hell. They're just only going to keep getting better. This is Ben Johnson's first year. May I remind you all. So, yeah, I really, really, really hope the Chargers can find some inspiration in what the Bears has done for Caleb Williams and getting Ben Johnson on getting Mike McDaniel for Justin Herbert. If Jim Harbaugh cares about Herbert like he tries to act like he does, then he needs to do the right thing and get Mike McDaniel in LA. And that's going to be exciting to see what Justin Herbert with Mike McDaniel. That's going to be very exciting. So yeah, I got my Super Bowl predictions. I got, it's going to be the Bears and the Texans, and the Bears is going to come through against that Texans violent defense. And Caleb Williams is going to be the first USC quarterback to ever play in the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. I'm calling it now. So that's all I got for y'all right now. I thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You all give me your Super Bowl predictions. I've been forgetting about asking, but please, I want to see. Right now we got 14, but not 4 teams. 3, 4, 6, 8. We got 8 teams left, man. We got 8 teams left. Who's your prediction? Bills, Broncos, 49ers, Seahawks, Texans, Patriots, Rams, Bears. Who you think gonna make a run? Who you think gonna make a run, man? So I'm very curious to see. I would like to see what y'all's predictions are, what y'all's guesses are, and we're gonna talk about it. Right now, I don't have anything. I don't have any ideas of jumping back on here on Tuesday or Wednesday, Thursday or Friday. But I definitely will be on Saturday night without a doubt for the primetime game, and Saturday and Sunday for those 2 primetime games. Now, like I said on the last video, it's a goal of mine for me to build a very reliable system that for me to stick with, for me to be on here at least 5, like maybe every night for about an hour, chopping it up, talking about football news, and eventually, it would just right now just be NFL, but eventually college, and so college football as well, and maybe I go into other sports. I'm thinking after the NFL and college, when I'm consistent with that on my channel, I will branch into boxing, and so I think boxing will be very interesting to talk about. I've always been a fan of boxing, so I studied martial arts myself, so it'll be kind of cool talking about boxing on this channel as well. Maybe I'll probably have some nights where I dedicate that to boxing, or just talking on the show that I talk on, with football. It'll be part of the show, every night. And maybe basketball. I'm not really that big on the NBA. I think the NBA is rather boring. I used to love watching basketball back in the day, but I just feel like the sport of the NBA sport. I mean, the NBA sport, the league, the NBA league has just been downhill lately, and I just don't want to be wasting my time talking about basketball, talking about the NBA. I just don't find the NBA appealing at all, and I know some people do, but I don't. I think it's sadly deteriorating, that entire league, the NBA. So right now is obviously this channel is strictly football, but I would like to eventually, like I said, when first go every night, 1 hour, at least 1 hour a night. Then we get into college, and then college as well. I can add boxing to the show, and yeah, and I think I'll stop there. I don't see me adding other sports. If the NBA, if the demand is high for the NBA, if the people who are subscribed to this channel, if they want to see me go beyond football and boxing and talk about the NBA, I don't mind doing that, but I'm not going to do it if more than enough people are not asking. It's obvious right now, football is the most popular sport in the entire world, and in basketball isn't. It's just that simple. So, and I don't watch basketball. I stopped watching basketball since Kobe retired. Really, I mean, I just it just got the and really to be honest with you, it's actually been before Kobe retired. Basketball has really lost my interest way before Kobe retired, to be honest. But I was still curious about watching Kobe, so I was watching it here and there. But the game is just not competitive. Like the league is just not competitive. I don't want to say the game because basketball, the game of basketball is competitive, but the NBA is not competitive. So when I say basketball is competitive, I'm talking about the NBA. You all can argue with me if you want. I mean, tell me if you disagree. But I know when I was watching the NBA, I saw that it was just getting very boring and it wasn't getting as competitive. When you got guys putting up 30 points on free throws, I just like how is that competitive? And you could barely every play is like a foul. It's just the game is just it just got so soft. It just got so soft. And the NBA wasn't always like that. So I mean, I remember watching it back. I remember watching T Mac days. T Mac was my favorite basketball player of all time. And it's just not like that anymore. So yeah. So the hell with the NBA. I NFL, eventually college, and I don't mind talking boxing. I think it'll be very interesting to talk about boxing, even UFC, boxing, UFC. It'll be kind of fun to talk about that. So football, I mean NFL, college, boxing, UFC, and if the demand is there, I'll have a slot for the NBA. Whatever. But the demand got to be there. I'm not going to go out of my way talking about basketball on this platform. Just not. So that's all I got. So you all chime in. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Give me your thoughts. Give me your ideas. Give me your Super Bowl predictions. And tell me how you feel about me wanting to add boxing and UFC eventually, to this channel. After I be consistent being on here one every night, 1 hour a night, and chopping it up very specifically about football, and then eventually boxing, UFC. Okay, so yeah, on we'll be back on Saturday night after the games to talk about it. Talk about them. All right, and we're going to we're going to compare my scores. Yeah, we always do to the actual my predictions. We're going to compare my predictions to the actual outcomes of the games. Again, I'll go over it again. I said Broncos beating the Bills 22-20, and the Seahawks beating the 49ers 21-20. All right. So thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back very soon. Take care.